Welcome back to RacinBoys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. I'm Scott Traylor, just down the road from RacinBoys HQ. I'm at Day Automotive. If anybody knows anything about motorsports, they know who Day Automotive is here in Independence. Huey, the owner of Day Automotive, has been a great supporter of local racing since 1973, building motors, selling parts, keeping people in racing for all these years. And we thought it was fitting to go in and talk to them about the state of the economy, where racing has came from, where it is headed, in what direction. And this is that conversation I had a little bit earlier with Huey over here at Day Automotive.
We had a shop over on Wilson Road, and we used to hang out together, and my friend John Day worked in a machine shop, and he had a friend that come back from the Navy and had a little money, so we ended up buying this building and moved in here and brought our racing operation here, and was just a plaything really. And then first thing you know, we started doing work for other people, and bingo, Day Automotive started. Prior to actually the Day Automotive started, I worked for a gentleman called Jim Hager. He was really the backbone that started me into racing. My older brother raced as I was a kid, but in the old jalopy days, but Jim Hager's the one that really brought racing in my life. And I worked for him, and that's all we done was raced. I mean, I worked on race cars for him day in, day out, all night, whatever it took to get to the track. And that's how it all started. When you start doing engines for people, and you know, we was with Mike Kempton in his NASCAR days, and back when Bivens and all them drove, and we built engines for him, and did a lot of the ASA stuff. And I can recall, just to mention, an ASA race they had at I-70 Speedway one time, and in the early 80s probably, and I remember they had 6 blown motors, and they brought them all here between my shop and Goober's shop. They was out front, out back. Dick Trickle's motor was right there where you're standing, and I rebuilt that in the middle of the night. He went out and won the race the next day. It was the junkyard theme back then. I mean, you got all your parts from a salvage yard, and that's where it all came from. There wasn't no go to the place and buy from Huey and get the parts. You had to go to the junkyard and get an A-arm or a transmission or whatever you want to be able to race the next day. So that's the way that all handled. So that's, you know, that's how it all started, and then the technology started marching from there with the computers and all the stuff. You know, you're kind of talking about the era of everybody fabricated their own things, everybody manufactured their own things, everybody had their own parts system to get where they needed to be. You know, you had a friend that worked at a junkyard, or you had a friend that overhauled motors in his garage or whatever, and everybody, it was the thing then, where today all that stuff is completely different, opposite. And you know, it's just a matter of coming up with them parts and pieces, and the money it takes to do this today is phenomenal. The technologies today is what's marched into this, the computer systems, the CNC machines to manufacture the parts are 10 times faster. You can program up any piece now and make 100 of them by the time we used to make 1 back then. Well, I can tell you that Speedy Bill has protected the small businessman like me. He helps me with free freight and things like that to entice me to purchase my parts from him, to be able to save the racer $1 to keep him racing. We try to service the racers. That's our main objective. That's good for business, plus it's good relationships with your customers. And that's my whole goal and why I do that. I want to make sure the racers have fuel to race with, the racers have tires to race with, they need a tie rod to fix their car, I got it. It's hard sometimes to go to the races every weekend, especially at my age now. But I still love racing. I can't quit. I love it, and it's part of my life. It always has been my life, so we'll continue to do it. Been a successful life for me, very happy, and I don't have anything that stands out like that. You know, we won a lot of races, won a lot of championships, met a phenomenal amount of people, and just love every minute of it. Still do it. You know, Tony's always had a desire. He's the kind of the genius of the motor department here. He's always had that drive and desire to work on engines and develop horsepower, and you know, whether it's port and cylinder heads or whatever it takes. You know, just like the cars he races in NHRA Superstock, it's phenomenal how fast they go with a little 2-barrel carburetor sitting on top of them and things. And it's just that drive for him to make that horsepower that keeps him going today. You know, he comes to work every day, just like today we're sending out a NHRA 409 Chevy motor to race on a national tour deal. It's a phenomenal deal that you have that technologies to do all that stuff. Oh yeah, there's people from every aspect comes in here, and you just try to service everybody's needs, whatever that is, and listen to their problem and try to make them better at what they do, and they pay you to do that. We've been messing around a lot of things. We got an internet site now too that we've been trying to escalate into something, and it's dayraceparts.com. And then we've got involved with some Chinese people on this RaceGator transmissions, and we've been selling these all over the country and doing extremely well with this thing. It is phenomenal. I've been to the IMIS show a couple of times with it, and I'm proud to be a developer of this transmission and what it has done for us as far as being able to market these and learning how to market pieces over the internet and things like that. And we got a lot of top runners running our transmissions now that's doing an extremely good job.
Well, there you have it, one of the local icons in motorsports here in the greater Kansas City area. Day Automotive has kept a lot of people in racing over the years, and without them, guys like myself, when we couldn't afford to race the next week, we came in, asked for a little credit. Huey gave us that credit so we could get there to that next race, and I'm telling you, he has done that for countless people over the years, and we all owe him a great deal of thanks for doing so. When we come back, we're going to move into the engine shop here at Day Automotive.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinions, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Welcome back to RacinBoys TV, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. I'm Scott Traylor, again out here at Day Automotive in Independence, Missouri. We've talked to Huey up in the front where all the parts are sold. Now let's move back into the engine shop and talk to Tony and talk about his success as an engine builder since 1978 here at Day Automotive.
I'd been an auto mechanic on and off, and worked at the Kansas City Star as a pressman. And right before that, I'd worked at a transmission shop over here in Independence. And I'd been associated with Day Automotive for quite a while. I'd known John and Huey and Gary Potter for several years. And it was kind of a in between jobs, quit one job and come by here and said, hey, you need a little help, and kind of started from there. Started out doing valve jobs, and from there just kind of worked my way in. You know, really liked it. Enjoyed it doing part-time before that, and then really got into it once I got here. We did a lot of drag motors. I was especially into drag racing at that time when I came here. That was my big interest, and of course it was kind of a good split because Huey liked the circle track racing more than he did drag racing. But once we got associated with each other, it kind of blended in really good together. Yeah. But we do a lot of nostalgia stuff. We do total rebuilding of engines, actually restoring the engine for a restored automobile. And we do a lot of street motors for performance that people like, you know, build things to fit their application, you know, for whether it be an original car or a street ride application. And we just do various things. That's what keeps us. It's the variety of things that we are able to do. You know, still some circle track, still some drag racing, nostalgia, restorations, and kind of keeps us afloat with all the variety of things we're able to do. Where you don't have, there's a variety of things that you won't have any control over at a racetrack, combinations like wind, traction, various track conditions, you know, or air conditions. You haven't got an idea where you're at. Well, we can set the engine up here on the dyno to where it'll run in a 20 or 25 degree area span without changing a jet or anything else. And then you work on your car and just race it and not have to worry about your engine when we get finished with it. When you have good drivers and stuff like that, you know, people that you can put engines in that actually can go out and utilize the changes that you've made. We've always been always trying to work with something, make something that it's not supposed to be. You know, you work with a 2-barrel carburetor, it's not supposed to make power, not supposed to do these things, and you figure out a way to squeeze that baby until, you know, until it just hurts. Yeah. You know, and then of course, like I say, if you get a good driver, they can apply that, it makes it even better. Yeah, crankshafts and rods have come full circle. I don't know that they can ever really get these things any better. They've got them down to the point with the metals that they're made out of, as light as they are, and a way that, especially with the way that they're able to make pistons. Pistons are probably, technology is probably the best of all the changes of crankshafts and even rods, because they've been able to make those very strong but ultra lightweight, which makes it a lot easier on the rest of the components to be able to survive. Allows us with the dyno, especially with the accuracy of the Superflow dyno, we're able to change oils, jetting, work on carburetors, various things that show minute changes that you can't find anywhere else but here. You know, you would spend a lifetime trying to find these things on the racetrack, and we save that time and trouble and here and get really, really close to the race or street application that you're going to be using. And without this, say for instance, you know, I set a national record in 2010 with my NHRA GTKA car. I would have never got there making almost 500 horsepower with a Rochester 2-barrel without this dyno. It's just impossible. The negatives is that your decisions are on your own. You don't get to bounce things off of people, you know, as much when you're working with somebody, and you're kind of talking to yourself a lot, you know, like, what do you think, you know? And
Right.
and it's really nice if you got somebody really, really bright that you're talking to, working with, that you can talk about things back and forth and make these ideas sound really viable when you're trying to work on an engine or something like that. And then there are the good things that when you are making a decision that you don't want to be interfered with, and as far as being alone and stuff like that, where when you get down to it, that you can actually go ahead and say, okay, this is mine. And then but the only thing is, you can't blame anybody when it's all said and done. Right. We are like family. We've been together for so long, and he's been very supportive of all the ideas and things that I've come up with. And he was, you know, back before that I actually started for myself in '85. I actually took over the business in '85 in the back. Before that, it was like gung-ho, Tony, you need it? No problem. You know, he'll get it. You know, we were drag racing and stuff like that and having a good time and making things happen. Well, we considered at least keeping up, if not getting ahead of local people, you know, with ideas and stuff. He's always been super supportive of that, financially and emotionally, you know, like always there for me, you know, to help me whenever I needed it. So, and those things haven't changed.
Tony does a great job with the motors here at Day Automotive. I recommend if you need some good horsepower and you're in the Kansas City metro area, one of the great places to go to is Day Automotive. Tony and Huey doing a great job supporting the local racing community since 1973. When we come back, more of RacinBoys TV brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet right here on Metro Sports.